Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I'll be talking about painting Tyrion Lannister, the famous half-man himself. So, how did I go about this? Well, for starters, I wanted to kind of keep that Lannister theme of that reddish color, but I like the idea of his undershirt that's kind of has the longer sleeves to have a bit of contrast. So I decided it would be nice to have that kind of burgundy color similar to what he wore in the show earlier in the seasons, and that but you still have that green, which is a nice complementary color. And so the way I went about this was I laid down kind of darker undercoats, and then I went on to start to kind of build up those highlights. And that was accomplished by just blending in a little bit of white and just kind of glazing that in over time. Then I worked on the gold trim, and so I just took um, kind of like a medium yellow I had, and just kind of went over it all. And then I kind of worked on bringing up that color with a little bit of highlighting. Next, it was the Chalice, and so that was accomplished by using non-metallic. It would have been much easier if I had just taken like a silvery metallic color and then just played with the wash a little bit just to kind of um, bring bring out that nice contrast while still having that kind of reflective look of natural metal. But I wanted to go with that kind of more interesting non-metallic metal, and so what I did was I highlighted the base and the rim that's facing outwards from Tyrion, and then I just kind of worked some highlights down um, vertically, and then I kind of blended it to darker tones behind it. He also has a like a blue gem on his hand, where he is holding the chalice. So what I did was I took a nice kind of deep, rich blue, and I just base coated it, and then I just took a tiny amount of a really bright blue and just kind of touched the top of it just to give it a teeny bit of highlight. And that was all was needed to kind of have a really effective jewel look it is so the jewel like on the ring is so small that you don't have to really worrying about blending it in with the highlight and darks. Like it's something you'd want to do if this is like a competition piece, but if this is something just put on the table, it just has a nice effect. And that's kind of what we're going for here. So at this point, I'm just showing off where we've gone so far. This is like a perfectly acceptable tabletop standard. I mean, this is, I'd say, quite above that. You know, it's not just base coats. We are trying to, build up those colors and those highlights. But if you really want to go the extra step, I highly recommend it because just adding in that extra contrast of darkening those darker areas, brightening those brighter areas, and all you're doing is just continuing that glazing process. It does take a little longer, but it's really nice to have that extra shiny kind of look to Tyrion's clothes. It also kind of makes the kind of uh, vest he's wearing look a little less one tone when you highlight those shoulders and that kind of stomach area a little more and darken the back. It just makes it feel a lot more um, just kind of like varied, even though it still looks kind of plain and flat because that's kind of the shape of it. You can't really accentuate it that much. You can still do something to kind of bring out more visual interest in it. And then, of course, for the boots as well, you can have that kind of darker tone, but it's nice to bring a little bit of attention just by having a highlight tone, kind of touch the crests of those wrinkles and maybe kind of bring out like a little bit of the scuff of it, just to kind of make it not just so dark and kind of single tone because that's what we're trying to avoid is from those base colors and just a basic wash to try and really pull have the base tone, you have the highlight tone and the dark tone, so you're trying to pull it apart and make that difference greater while still having that natural blend to it, and that will allow you to create a more effective and more interesting and realistic looking character. And also we're going to be doing this on the face just to kind of really bring out that definition, because he has some really nice, he has a really interesting expression, and the sculpt is very sharp, which I'm glad to see. One issue I have with this range is that some of the faces of the characters are a little bit too soft, and so when you have like really nice sharp features like that, you really want to take advantage of it. So that's why it's really nice to have all those lines where you can actually bring the brush across and really bring out that contrast on the chin and the nose, and it's not as soft and kind of difficult to do. It helps you, the sculpt helps you create that effect. Well, that about wraps it up. I really hope you guys enjoyed. I certainly did. Tyrion is one of my favorite characters in the series, so I wanted to really bring out justice and give him that interesting paint job that a complex character should receive. I'm excited to do Cersei, Sansa's next, and Catelyn, and I think they are going to turn out really well. And then we just have to finish those last few units, and then we'll go on from there. So I really hope you guys enjoyed, and keep watching. See you guys for the next one. Have a good day.